except for me.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
There's people that talk quite a bit. Is that you, Rev?
I do talk a lot.
You do talk a lot. Well, so this is Dollops for Donuts. This is still season 2, episode 4. We haven't done an episode in a while, so welcome back, everybody.
Yeah.
And I mean, Rev, I think. Well, no, you weren't on the last one. You were on the second to the last one, and then I got
That was a great one.
Kinda sick.
Probably your
yeah,
probably
like
your
we
highest
did like
rated episode.
Yep, it was. Actually. We did some stuff on Colfax.
I'm glad you're better.
Colfax.
That was a long year for you.
You weren't sick on the air, were you?
No.
Okay,
no.
good.
It was, it was like a long kind of prolonged kind of sickness.
Well,
So that's still kind of going.
you've got good people in your life taking good care of you.
Absolutely. So, but I appreciate, so we've got 2 guys joining us today. We've got Matt Megyesi and Jim Norris. So, Jim, you've been on the show a couple of times. We
have.
did the East Colfax, and then we've kind of talked about, let's see, what else? Because we did the 2-parter that
yeah.
was like East Colfax, and then, I think we're going to talk a little bit about Three Kings today, but mostly we're going to talk about Mutiny, which is where we're at today.
Where we're at.
We're in Englewood. This is the new location. It's a beautiful day, and there's a bunch of people like walking up and down the street, and a bunch of people inside.
And we're in the basement.
And we're in the basement,
Soaking
chilling
it
out.
up.
Kind of hanging out and having some coffee. So checking out. Art brought some zines from his collection.
Yeah, some great stuff.
But we're going to talk about like a lot of different things. Matt, we haven't had you on the podcast before, so welcome.
Thank you very much. I appreciate being here.
And we're just stoked that you guys wanted to do this. When I first started this with Andrew like 2 years ago, we started with an episode. I wasn't really sure about what the format was going to be of this podcast, and I hadn't reached out to Marilyn or you guys. But then, once we started interviewing people, I wanted to circle back and talk to you guys just because, I think, Mutiny Information Cafe is probably one of the most, essential parts of creative culture in Colorado right now, along with Mercury Cafe for like the last 30 years. Like Mutiny provides the same sort of resources for artists and all sorts of folks. So welcome you guys, and
Stoked to be here.
Yeah.
Very glad and very honored to be mentioned with Marilyn and the cafe.
Oh, that's
Mercury
awesome.
Cafe. So I remember going to a lot of shows when I first moved to Denver, which was back in '93.
Okay.
I mean, I saw Luscious Jackson there.
Yeah.
We saw Steel Pole Bathtub. We saw lots of other bands on that top floor.
Okay.
And then they stopped.
Right.
So, but
Yeah. Which was unfortunate. I think there was one show that actually stopped it.
She used to also throw a Andy Warhol pop party in upstairs, and she would give out invites for a can of soup
Oh my God, that's
with
awesome.
a wrapper on it that was Andy Warhol inspired.
That's awesome.
Invitation.
That's cool.
So
That's really cool.
Yeah, she's the coolest.
Yeah.
She is, and did so much. Like, I mean, they did like poetry, and like you guys do slam poetry too.
Yeah.
I think like you guys kind of share a lot of just like the versatility, or as far as like the art and all the things that you support. Like just coming in here, like I was here in November, but everything like is so much more set up, and like you've got art like all over the walls. Like it's fantastic.
we've had practice.
Yeah, I think it's and this one's starting with a truly blank slate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we inherited 100,000 books at the other shop that
Right.
took up space. You couldn't do anything. Like the basement. I mean, this basement's amazing. And it was a blank white canvas.
Right.
And then we let the graffiti guys go nuts. It looked,
Nice.
It looks groovy. Same with upstairs. Just a
Yeah.
blank, nice spot with a flat floor and all the amenities that a lot of people take for granted, like a
Right.
heater,
Air conditioning,
air conditioning, a
proper
drinking
lighting.
fountain,
Right.
free parking.
That's
clean.
true. Like the parking is much better than what you guys were dealing with before,
my God.
right?
And clean bathroom.
And clean bathrooms. So, Matt, you mentioned you moved here in '93. Where did you move from?
I moved from Billings, Montana.
Oh, nice.
And up there, I had been going to school for design and fine arts and theater arts.
Okay.
And I realized I wasn't going to make any money in Montana doing any of those things.
Gotcha.
So I moved to Denver.
Nice.
There was already one mime in Montana.
And I was him. I was him. I was the best.
That was the best.
I had won awards. I had won awards.
He's a champion. Mime.
1987, no, 1989 state champion mime from Montana.
Wow.
That comes up in every podcast we do.
It does, because I think it's one of the most fascinating parts of Matt.
That's awesome. So what was it? What was your best miming routine?
Oh, I did a thing called The Dentist,
Okay.
and it was very much in the vein of Steve Martin's The Dentist in
Little
Shop of Horrors. Yeah.
Okay.
And
Awesome.
I combined it with the Xenomorph in Aliens, and so that's the kind of the
That's awesome.
that was the inspiration for my stuff.
Okay. All right.
So he came from Montana
Right.
with
And
that mime. It's like it's a mime. It's a mime trophy, but there's no trophy. You know.
Mimes have the,
It's right there. Can't you see it?
mimes have everybody beat though. Like, I mean, like stand up. Yeah, well, stand-up comedian, they need a microphone.
Sure.
Band needs all this gear. Mime comes.
There's nothing punkier than a
Yeah,
mime.
Yeah.
They just got
Let's
a rope
go.
and a wall.
maybe some wind.
So they don't want me as some weight.
Do you ever get tired of people and just start performing for animals? Is there,
Well, I gave that up a long time ago. When I moved, I kind of retired from the miming thing because
Didn't really translate.
well,
like,
it was just
across
really tough to
borders.
like break into the scene down here in Denver.
You got to be established.
That's right.
So-
That's right.
That was that early
Build that
'90s
foundation.
Denver mime scene.
It was hard to
fucking
break.
hard,
There was a
yeah.
lot of like.
Yeah.
There was gatekeepers.
Right? Then the Warlock Pictures had the song Flaming Mimes, and it all fucking went to hell.
just
Yeah. Yep.
So okay, so you moved from Billings, and then
Right.
when did you meet Jim?
So I moved here in January of '93, and
Okay.
by the end of the summer of '93, I had a job at Peaberry Coffee downtown, and that's when I met
Nice.
Jim.
Okay.
We met on a roller coaster, and we were going on a roller coaster, and I looked over at Jim and I go, "You want to do a whippet?" And so we did whippets on the roller coaster.
Nice.
The Elitches. Yeah.
Which roller coaster?
The Twister.
Yeah.
Okay. The original.
So,
Twist
OG,
and
yeah.
whippets.
Yeah,
Twist
yeah.
on the Whippets.
Or maybe
Nice.
it was what was the other one? The Wildcat.
It was-
There was no line around that.
Yeah.
I actually like the Wildcat more.
It was good.
Yeah.
I love those roller coasters.
Yeah.
Doing whippets on a roller coaster is pretty tight.
I bet. It adds like a whole new level.
And then that following Christmas, we went to Las Vegas together
Yeah.
Okay.
and went to all the Hunter S. Thompson haunts and
Oh my
all that
God,
kind of
that's
jazz
awesome.
and just that was '93.
Yeah.
So it was
So
old
it was
school
still,
Vegas
it was
a little
still
bit.
like cool Vegas.
Oh,
before it
the
went,
Sahara was there.
The roof
oh,
wasn't on downtown.
Yeah, and it was
That's awesome.
neat. It
Yeah.
was. The first stop we went to was Circus,
Okay.
and that was a lot of fun. And yeah, it was a good time.
What were some of your other favorite Hunter S. Thompson haunts?
Well, he spent so much time in Circus, especially in the first part of the book.
Yeah.
But didn't he end up in the Sahara?
I think
In a
so.
room in the Sahara?
That sounds
Fear
right.
and Loathing.
Anyways, I like the Sahara. That's where my wife and I stayed for our honeymoon.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Did you ever end up going to Woody Creek Tavern?
No,
No.
No.
too scared.
Okay.
Our friend Josiah Hess, he did a lot of writing up there.
Okay.
Hashtag Josiah has.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he stayed at Hunter S. Thompson's house up
Oh,
there
wow.
and wrote a book and wrote
The
some
Owl
book
Farm?
stuff,
Nice.
and then spent the time at Woody Creek's.
That's awesome.
bar.
I got to go there with my dad, and we were getting lunch, and Oates walked in from Hall
Daryl
Oates.
Hart? Oh.
Yeah, it was crazy. He didn't have his mustache anymore. I was extremely disappointed.
Wow.
So,
I think that
but
guy-
yeah, he was picking up some food. It was great.
Wow.
It was great time.
Yeah, man.
So that's my little nugget that I got
Nice.
there.
A man sandwich.
Yeah.
I was trying to put Oates in any of the Thompson books. This guy's not a character I've never heard of.
Totally.
You know, Garfunkel and Oates.
So, like, when you guys went to Las Vegas together, and then when did you guys start kind of doing the trains, like hopping trains?
Oh, that was
That was years later.
yeah. I
years
think that
later.
was like what, 98,
98?
98,
Yeah, we
99.
were doing zines, that zine at the time. So,
Oh, nice.
So just trying to do fucking live a lifestyle that would fill an awesome zine.
Okay.
Yeah. So we were doing and then we were doing our own little side zines. Because I moved back to Montana for a little bit, and I was like doing this little zine, and I was hanging out with my friends from Portland that did a lot of zines. Rollerball out of Portland.
Rollerball was great.
And just then when moved back, and that's when Jim and I were working together out in Parker.
Okay.
And we were building fences. Jim met a guy and took him out jumping trains. They learned how to jump trains, and that's your story. I shouldn't barge in on
Yeah.
it, but then that guy took Jim and I out on a train ride, and we were trying to get out to Seattle.
Oh, wow.
And that was a lot of fun.
That
That's
was a lot
cool.
of
Did you
fun.
guys get all the way out there?
We made it to Seattle.
We made it to
Nice.
Seattle,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
not all the way by train.
Okay.
We got kicked off the train twice or something like that. Then it was just like I was going to hitchhike because I knew this place, the yard that we got kicked out of looked like a giant prison, something between two countries yard.
Okay. Where did you get kicked out?
So
Tacoma.
we got kicked out in Spokane.
Spokane,
So
yeah.
we got into the beginning of the train yard and we got kicked off. And then I think you went into town and decided to hitchhike.
Yep.
And then was it Brian? Is that the guy's name?
Boxcar Brian.
We decided to go to the other side of Spokane, so we walked to the other side of Spokane and tried to get back onto the train back then. But by the time we were over there, the trains were going so fast. They were fast coming in,
Yeah.
fast going out. There was no way we were getting on a train.
Okay.
And looking through the questionnaire, you asked like what were the kind of the characters that we met on
Yeah.
those train rides. That's where I met this guy that I'm sitting just in a little like field right next to the train line, and all of a sudden I sit down, all of a sudden this guy sits up, and he just like starts talking to me about meeting this lady down on the side of the railroad tracks, and she had these multicolored sheep, and
Yeah.
she'd let you fuck them, and all this other stuff, and I'm just like, right on, dude, I'll see you later, because he had a patch over one eye, and he was wearing glasses, missing teeth, and he had a suit coat, like a tweed suit coat on and everything.
Right.
And that's when I was like, okay, Brian,
You
let's
just
go to
pieced out
town.
from that car
And,
altogether?
yeah, we weren't even on the car. We were just in the field trying to get on
I
the
gotcha.
car.
I gotcha.
And that's when I said to Brian, let's just go get a bus. And we rode the bus from Spokane to Seattle.
Okay. Nice.
And got some sleep.
Okay. Well, that's cool. How long were you guys in Seattle?
We were there for like 3 or 4 days. We were there for 3 or 4 days. We were meeting our friend Eric Peterson,
Yep.
who had been living out there.
Nice.
And Eric Peterson had been writing column or pages in our zine. So
Okay.
he was also writing travel guides for kind of weird stuff in each state. He would go to a state, weird things in Missouri, weird things in Nebraska.
Okay.
And we have numerous copies in
Yeah.
the store now.
Yeah.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Eric's a great guy, and he
He is.
let us stay with him, and he took us, to the Space Needle, and this is a cool place.
Yeah. That's
Jimi
really cool.
Hendrix's grave.
Yeah.
Nice.
And
Awesome.
who else is? Well, we went to Bruce Lee's grave up there.
Okay.
That was awesome.
It was awesome.
Nice.
That alone itself could be the whole trip.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome up there.
Yeah.
You meet the troll under the highway.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Like
that-
under that bridge or
Yeah.
whatever. That's super cool.
Yep.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
Seattle's a
Seattle's
great town.
great. Yeah. They're great.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, and Art, you brought some zines here, and I don't know, like, I mean, you guys, like, how many zines did you guys work on together?
Mostly just
Yeah,
Okay.
that was probably 12 issues,
yeah.
Oh, nice.
10 issues. I don't know.
Okay.
I came
That's
into
cool.
town and they'd already been, him and Dave Newbloom had already been doing some zines, and I just started submitting artwork. And then I barged in and started, gathering artwork and gathering artists and stuff as well,
Yeah.
and adding to the whole thing.
Nice.
So,
That's how we got to meet a lot of people back then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So back then, Dave Herrera was doing a zine. Julian McClurg was doing a zine. Who else?
John Reedy and
John
Aaron
Reedy.
Mikulich and, oh gosh, I forget the guy's Jason Heller was
Yeah.
writing for the Hooligan.
Hooligan.
Oh, wow. That's
He
awesome.
did a comic zine too. Oh, I should have brought that. Yeah, Jason Heller did. That's how I met him. Rice and Beans. So we were
Oh.
both carried on Spit and a Half. So John Porcelino put that together, which
Yeah.
was the greatest honor of my life to be included.
Yeah, John P's done great stuff.
Yeah. And so I met Jason Heller and Jerome Gaynor and all these great artists through that, and it was just it's an amazing thing. But also, John Gross organized the
Yeah,
Denver Zine
yeah.
Pool.
Yeah.
Yep, he did.
And which was like, oh, hey, I've written down everybody's name and address. Now you can write each other with
Yeah.
these and get in touch.
Yeah.
Thanks, John. We
It
should
was great.
That was a good opportunity to network with people and kind of find out what everybody was doing, and it was just neat to see that many people working on zines. Now everybody does it online. Hey, I'm doing zines. Hey, I'm doing zines, but you never got to meet those people. You never get to meet those people in real life. It
Right.
seems like
Right.
so.
That was, there was definitely a point where it seemed like the internet was killing, when blogs, it's great that everybody has access to, I want everybody to have a printing press. I want everybody to have a way to express themselves. And the blogs, that you could just go up and sign up and get a blog and be just posting your opinions or jokes or whatever just immediately. Totally great thing. But it also, a lot of people just quit doing zines. Like, oh, why should I go and, deal with Kinkos and everything when I can just do it at my
Yeah.
own house?
Yeah.
And,
Right.
yeah.
I think it's coming back a lot because it's tactile and real.
Yeah.
It's community oriented. Excuse me. I got it.
Donut attack.
Chocolate donut going on.
But what we're encouraging is like zines you can do anonymous. It cannot be deleted unless somebody grabs them and throws them all out or whatever. But you can say whatever the hell you want. You can do whatever the hell you want and get that word out to basically the people that you want to see.
Yeah.
And now, going forward in our current state of affairs, transferring information by hand is a much smarter option than
Yeah.
Than having,
emailing
like-
or
yeah.
Googling or doing all those things when you can share that information with each other just by, the Denver Public Library, you get 100 free copies a day. So 100 free copies a day, you can make a one-page zine to disseminate maybe one piece of information, like
Right.
how to patch a wound or how to fucking
Yeah.
grow a plant or whatever. But it's super easy to do. And that's, disseminating it around, or like, how to organize a protest, or the other things that are involved with your own self-determined forms of protest,
Yeah.
which, zines tend to be that form of protest against, for me, I got 5 or 6 rejection letters for fiction, and I said, man, that hurts.
Yeah.
So
Right.
fuck that, let's do a zine. And then just from that met all the people that we talked about earlier that all ended
Yeah.
up becoming really like Heller and Herrera and all these people that ended up becoming really just players.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And you have to get up and go and do that stuff in
Right,
the library.
right.
You can't just sit in your room
Right.
and woe is me on the keyboard. You
Right.
know, you can do woe is me on the keyboard, but then you got to get out and you got to go down and make the copies.
Right.
You got to do the printing out. You got to be involved, and that pulls you all the way into that product that you're producing.
Right.
So instead of just making a website, which is very easy to do, especially nowadays, it's too easy to do.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
then when you make it, you get tagged, and then you're all of a sudden on everybody's watch list.
Yeah.
And so they're going to make sure that whatever it is that you're producing doesn't get disseminated to the rest of the people.
Absolutely.
But if you come up with a zine and you make 100 copies, you know that 100 people are going to read your work.
Right.
Yep.
So you're only limited by the amount of of product that you produce.
Right.
And
right.
and the you're going to have such an easier time with a zine. You see somebody in a shirt that's like favorite band or whatever, you can go, oh, here, you might like my zine.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of great gay and trans zines too. A lot of people, and one reason is you're not going to get just an obnoxious troll like writing you. They're not that ambitious. They're not that smart.
Right.
They're not going to.
They usually like hiding behind that computer screen.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if they have to actually write you a letter to a PO box,
Right.
that's never going to happen.
Right.
Exactly.
You bought the stack of zines that we have in front of us are legendary stuff from the 60s and 70s that we're still sitting with them in front of us right now.
Right.
And I guarantee 50 years from now, there's not going to be my email address online or whatever your MySpace page or.
Yeah. So these are from my friend Tim McConnell, who's he's done all kinds of things. Wax Trax employee and was
Offbeat Records.
Offbeat Records, of course, and always been. He was the first person to tell me about the Mercury Cafe.
Nice.
Always been connected, and he gave me this during one of his moves. So yeah, I've been just looking through them gradually, and I thought I should get these out. I should bring these. So I'm glad you're here today.
No, these are great ones. I mean, we talked a little bit about Iron Feather.
Yeah.
I used to collect Mondos.
Yep. You turned me on to Mondo. The layout. That's where fonts always a trick.
It's like pre-wired,
Yep.
How just
But
crazy
do either
goofy.
of you have Joy and Spider tattoos?
No.
Losers.
Yeah.
join Spider.
Really cool. Yeah. No, yeah, that has yet to happen with my zine Joy and Spider.
But I would do that, and I'm working on a flash event for a thing where we got a tattoo of someone come down and do little bangers.
I think I got some space right here. I can probably do it.
I got a whole leg.
I don't.
But you got to get a mutiny one or a teardrop, one or the other.
Okay.
Mutiny teardrop, maybe.
So this is that. That
A
means
little mutiny right there.
That means I went to I got in trouble when I was a juvenile.
Oh, nice. It works.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm afraid of needles and tattoos. So it's not gonna. Wah.
Well, then you know what?
Ah, man.
You don't have to pay attention to
Well,
it.
they're ushering me out. That was the last thing I got to say.
Back to Colorado Springs you go. I'm kidding.
Yeah, but no, it's meeting John Porcelino and just finding out how much everybody does have in common, even like bird watching or just loving ecology or bugs or whatever,
And
or art.
And Noah
music.
came up around the same time too. Vince Skyman there.
Yeah.
So all that stuff. I mean, from that, I think from that early crew, that whatever that was going on in Denver at that time, and I think it was a no coast mentality because what the fuck are you gonna do? Man,
Right.
You're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all these
Nothing to
amazing creative people were doing creative things at that time that have resonated for 30 years now.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and at first I thought because I'd seen so many, punk rock scenes. There was Nada or Modern Times, and then there was, Diagnosis was,
Yeah, Julia.
Julie's.
Yeah.
And
She's doing great stuff. She's a
Yeah.
world-renowned artist now.
she was awesome. Yeah. Hi, Julie. We all waved.
Yeah, I hope you're
Hi,
listening.
Julie.
Yeah, she was a big influence. Remember, she was on the weekend edition of the Rocky Mountain News when they did the thing about zines.
Yeah.
She was all cute with her zine.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, she was awesome. She is awesome.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but the things that were going on in the United States around that time, that was the same time that Bikini Kill was coming out with Riot Girl Zine.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't just Denver. It was
everywhere.
a national
Chicago,
thing.
Chicago was killing it.
And it was really interesting to travel and talk to people about zines, or travel and meet other people that were doing zines in other towns.
Yeah,
And it's
absolutely.
basically pre-internet.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's how you communicate. That's how you how you found there was some cool part of a town. Is
Right.
Matt found a zine in New York and then brought it to Denver, and you'd go, "There's one ad for this one store in New York."
Yeah.
that would be the place
Right.
you'd start to gravitate to.
And that's why we do advertising as when we can and when we can afford it in zines. Like we're in
Okay.
Denver, did the first issue of Denverse. We're in Birdie.
That's
and
awesome.
like Jim was saying, that zine or that magazine will show up in somebody's collection 20 years from
Oh, for
now.
sure.
And they'll be like, oh, there was this place called Mutiny.
Mutiny, yeah,
What
totally.
was it like to go to Mutiny?
Totally.
Well, everybody gather around. Let me tell you the story about going to Mutiny Info Cafe.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's solid and it will last forever.
Right.
Unlike a blog post.
Okay.
Right. That's why we like comic books and zines and vinyl and books.
Yeah.
And now, again, I do a lot of used book shopping, and Matt's wife does too. The selection of books is getting narrower and narrower because there's a generation of people that's like, you can see lots of right-wing hardback books and weird Target shit that's on the shelves
Right.
at Goodwill. Very little stuff because at some point, kids they're not buying books.
Right.
They're reading the books
That's awesome.
they're reading the books online, so not really owning that stuff. So
Yeah.
the actual value of books, I think, is on its rise back up. And
Right.
and again, with the current situation we're in, these are books that were fact checked and they're real. And there's
Yeah.
there's ones. I have a lot of UFO ones, and there's not
Yeah.
too much fact checking going on in that,
But it's, important things.
Right. That was real, and that's it. You can't nobody can yell and fucking chime in at
Right.
J.D. Salinger and say, "Hey, dude, your book sucks, bro."
Your book sucks, bro.
Which I don't think has necessarily stood the time, but but again, these things are important. That's certain amount of books that we like to carry now. And we're building it back up from
Right.
Yeah.
the ground zero rather than having a bunch of crap.
Right.
And we're passing along what previous generations said were very important books to them. Like if we're passing along Fahrenheit 451.
Oh, one of my favorites.
And then if I read that, thought it was so fantastic,
Yeah.
and then I'm encouraging young people to read nowadays, and they're like, what do you mean they're talking about earbuds
Right.
or earbugs?
Right.
Those are things that are in that book,
Yeah.
and they're now part of everyday
Yeah.
life.
No, absolutely.
And we are seeing things in those books that are happening, and so we can say to ourselves, this guy knew what was going to happen.
Right.
What else did he predict? That we were going to start burning books, that we were going to start banning books,
Right.
and that nobody was reading books. They were watching it all on TV on their
Right.
wall because their TVs were as big as their wall.
Yeah.
And these are all things that he predicted were going to happen. So the writing is on the wall for us to read and see what's going to happen.
Yeah.
We are falling into a fascist state, and
Absolutely.
he predicted it, and we see all the mile markers in
I
his
know.
book.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man,
Yeah,
that's
but
like
you
no one
too.
read anything, man.
Yeah. So we are, I agree, we're falling into a fascist state. But so you're working on the most important, I think, if we can take a minute here to talk about power, most important thing in power, so there's force. You can aim a gun at somebody, but as soon as you're not aiming the gun at them, get away from that guy.
Yeah.
Doctor Who said that libraries were the most dangerous place because they had so many dangerous books in there.
Yeah.
He's a doctor.
And I trust him. I trust him.
Yeah. So, you can compensate, but, when billionaires control everything and we have, private equity firms buying everything, but there'll always be persuasion. We can always learn to think, and we can always share what we know with others.
Donald
Right.
Trump came to his power by being a celebrity that was on television. The easiest way to digest him as a person.
Right.
And Elon Musk owns one of the largest social media websites in the world, which is how he decimates his information. And all we are doing is we are trying to decimate information through books, comics, zines,
Right.
and film.
Right.
So
And I don't know. It's unfortunate that we're getting to a point where like things like those, like books are being policed. Any of this stuff is being policed.
what's sad is it has to all happen through small independent bookstores.
Right. And like, which are few and far between. Like
Yeah.
you have
Yeah.
like the powerhouse of like Amazon, which made sure that happened. And,
Right.
it's really
Run
unfortunate.
by a multi-billionaire.
Right.
One of the most richest persons in the world.
Right.
And he decimated the small independent bookstore.
Right.
Yep.
So, and it's really too bad because there were so many that were so great.
But there still are. You know,
And
we
there
got
are,
West
there
Side
are.
Books.
Right.
You know, you got our shop.
Absolutely.
You got places like Colfax.
Kilgore Books. That's
Kilgore
one of
is
my
a great
favorites.
Kilgore,
place.
kudos to Kilgore.
Yeah.
Black
Like-
and Red moving into their new joint. They got lots of
Oh,
cool
nice.
shit.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Where did they move to?
I think it's that where the
Just down the
Still
street.
okay. From where they were.
It's
Yeah.
where the
Okay.
costume shop used to be.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay.
That weird mall that's a little bit off of Colfax, right? Is that what I'm thinking of?
I don't know.
Well, anyway, shout out to Black and Red.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's really too bad just because, you know, having these resources, you know, is an important part, I think, of just all society. When it comes to art, when it comes to expression, you know, having people, you know, be able to manipulate those things, which is unfortunately, you know, the direction. Well, I mean, it's already happening, but you know, it's important. And like that, this is why I wanted to do like this show about Mutiny and why we started with Mutiny and Mercury Cafe. But we kind of wanted to talk and hear from you guys about, you know. So Rev, like you said, that you kind of see that the zine community is growing again.
Well, yeah, I think that, you know, the more and more people discover it, I mean, we're getting quality stuff coming in, you know, all different slants. And the other thing, I mean, what comes to mind is a discussion with an artist yesterday, a musician that's great. He does a lot of heartfelt sorrow songs, but does other things. But, you know, making people feel better is an act of protest. You don't necessarily have to set out to do some sort of political thing or whatever it is. You know, just do what, you know, sing a happy song that has nothing to do with the politics. You know, you can do that. You can paint
Right.
a happy painting, and, you know, that can be therapy.
So being here must be really incredible. Just see kids come in, pick up their first radical book.
Or reading a book where you find those moments of enlightenment, and to offer that kind of safe space here where, you know, it's the weirdos that are most attracted to this, and the most beautiful weirdos in the world come walking through our doors, and watching the young people in particular come in and see that there's, you know, that there is these zines that reflect my lifestyle, the things that are on my mind. You know, there's buttons that express my happiness, sorrow, rage. You know, there's comic books, which have traditionally always been boundary pushers as far as society issues. And in this era now, it's the best writers, the best artists, and stories. You know, I'm an old white guy. Matt's an old white guy. I've read every fucking old white guy story I ever want to read again. To hear these new, young, fresh takes from all different voices that have never been given opportunity to speak, you know, it's like, I mean, reading all these different stories now that are just spark everything in your brain, because it's out of my realm of,
Right.
you know, the way I was conditioned with, even with my English degree and writing degrees, conditioned to only think from this idea. So to be here and we get to be around again, all these most amazing weirdos in the world, and see all these new perspectives, though, that we're all just one. We're all one, you know.
Right.
Just let people live their goddamn lives, and it seems pretty easy to me. But again, back to what you're saying, I mean, I think that's what I love a lot about this place, is seeing that moment of discovery when they're like, wow, this is the greatest place ever.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's not because it's Matt or I here, it's because that this place exists as it is. You know, it's a community. So because the weirdos walk in, that's what makes the place.
Yeah.
Matt and I are just two old guys sitting behind a counter that look pretty scary and grouchy, you know. So it's who comes in, it's who's attracted, who wants to say, hey man, here's my zine, do you want to sell it? Or here's my zine, I want to give it away for free. Or
Yeah.
here's a sticker. Or, you know, that's the ultimate compliment when somebody comes up to you and goes, here's this amazing creation that took me, you know, if it's a book or a record, or, you know, zines take a lot too, but hey man, will you, you know, I want you to sell this thing. This is the thing that I spent the last 8 years of my life on.
Right.
You know, that they have enough confidence to come down here and say right to our face, hey man, here's my work of art. I'd like you to buy it.
Yeah.
And we reward that activity. We reward that action, you know, by giving them a place to show off
Absolutely.
their work.
Yeah.
And even if we just put it in the free bin and somebody else gets to see it, we rewarded their action
Yeah.
with that
100%.
opportunity.
Inspiration. Man.
Right. And speaking of inspiration, like what is that kind of what inspired you guys to do Mutiny? You know, because like I know Rev, like you had been at Three Kings for quite a few years, and because you guys opened Mutiny, it was like 2013,
Correct.
Yep.
and so but you before that were at the Three Kings, like that started in like 2005
We'd been
or
working.
6.
We had been talking about it for about a
Okay.
year beforehand, and
Okay.
I wasn't doing nothing. I was just sitting at home.
Okay.
It was during the recession, and so I wasn't
Yeah.
doing anything. I
Okay.
was literally sitting at home. I was trying to find projects, and Jim called me up and he's like, "Hey, man, you want to do lunch?" And we sat there and we talked about having a comic book shop
Right.
with pinball machines
Right.
and bands and stuff, and people sitting behind the counter that were receptive to people coming in with zines.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he calls me up and he goes, "Code Red."
I said, wee Matt, wee
and he told me that Jack Jensen was selling a spot.
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's the shit.
And then we mobilized.
Okay.
So.
And then you stayed like kind of like doing the double like once
For
you
sure, I had
back
an
and
incredible
forth,
drinking
right?
problem, and
Okay.
working at a bar and owning a bar,
Right.
that alcohol doesn't cost money; it's free.
Right.
So
But then
I
what
would
kind of
I would just drink for fun.
nice. I do still.
well, it was like again when Matt and I were doing zines, we had talked about what a great spot it would be to do this.
Yeah.
So when it came up, that was as big as I could ever dream anyway, as Mutiny at the time with that. So. And the Kings was getting old. Being around booze and old people all the time was getting
Right.
old. Kids got energy, and not having alcohol around.
And then Jim was doing this, and then I showed up, and I got a chance to start over doing all that stuff, and I took Jim down that road with me.
Okay. So it's a peer pressure
But
situation.
Yeah, well, Broadway is full
We
of
like
peer
to have
pressure.
fun, We like to have fun. You can't. I mean,
Right.
I don't regret all the fun I had. I've been having fun for a long time.
I would like to have the legacy of Matt was a really great guy to hang out with.
Yeah.
It was
So
fun.
No, I get that. Right?
wasn't a square.
So we both, I think Matt was doing web design and I was still at the Kings, and we made zero money. I mean, there was no money. We could sit for hours and not do anything.
It took us about 5 years to start making enough money that our significant others weren't complaining about
Yeah.
us.
So then it made it easier to get out of the Kings, and
All right.
it was an oasis for me.
Yeah.
I loved the Kings with all my heart. But
I know you did.
So in your questionnaire, you're asking what was different back then when we were starting out as compared to what's going on now.
Right.
Back then, it was just heroin junkies and drunks, and those are very easy people to maneuver out of your space, so that
Right.
way you don't have to deal with them, and you don't have to let your customers deal with those people either.
Yeah.
And I mean, it all changed when fentanyl came around.
Yeah,
Right.
fentanyl's
Fentanyl
just the
changed it
worst.
all.
It's awful.
Yeah, it's that's evil men. It's whoever puts that on the street is evil people that have no regard.
Right.
It's not like cool pot dealers.
Because when did you guys start seeing
things?
things going down on South Broadway?
I would say probably around the same time that the pandemic started. So you have the pandemic moving in, and you have a lot of fentanyl junkies starting to show up. And because it was a wasteland, there was no businesses open for a few months.
Right.
That's where they were all hanging out. And
I gotcha.
And people weren't down there to move them up to their next spot.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
that's the best way to.
That's all the city has done. It's
Yeah.
absolutely a travesty what Denver's done with the homeless population.
Yeah.
So,
And even just moving them into these hotels, and then I think a lot of those hotels have been all closed.
yeah, they didn't
Yeah.
even get them going.
And-
Johnston's failed completely.
Right.
They put them into the hotels for a couple of months, and then they weren't in the hotels anymore. The hotel area land is getting sold to new hotel
Right.
developers
It's all a
at a
scam.
cheap price.
It's a scam.
Yep.
All the weed and liquor tax money should take care of all that shit.
Right.
Yep.
So you have you have the homeless starting to move down. They're getting pushed out of downtown, and they're getting pushed down on the East Colfax and South Broadway.
Right.
And we were in the middle of all that. We tried really hard at first. We had things like food shelves where people could come and drop off food, and people could come pick food up.
Yeah.
We started working with a community fridge where people could start dropping off food, and
Right.
people could come picking it up. But
Just too nuts.
it's a double-edged sword. You got people that really need it, and then you got people that are too crazy and understand that they're being given something good,
Right.
and they ruin it for other people. And it's unfortunate that their mental condition has gotten to that point where they
Right.
don't understand that they're being given water to help them survive.
Right.
And they would just take the water and they would throw it away. I literally watched somebody take a case of water bottles and
Yeah.
just pour it into the trash. Oh, unscrew the top
It's
and
just-
pour it out.
That's awful.
Not just take the thing and throw it in
Right.
the dumpster.
Right.
So,
Now I'm wondering what happened to I brought in from my yard. I brought in a box of apples, and just
if they were good, people ate them.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it makes me want like you want to organize things so that it helps people, and you don't want to tell people no, but you don't want to give a case of water to somebody that's going to pour it out.
That's
How
why
do you
we-
do
No,
that right?
that's why we work with Mutual Aid Monday now.
That's what I was
Mutual Aid
just gonna
Monday,
say,
we got them during the early the protest at the Capitol at the beginning of the COVID. They are an amazing program that everything goes from us directly to people who need it.
Yeah.
They have a fantastic organization that feeds people every day, so it's not like a free for all. Things aren't going to waste at all. That's what I like about it. There's
They
no
do a dinner every Monday, and that's when they meet a lot of their volunteers. They do a
That's
dinner
awesome.
on Monday.
Yeah.
On Monday, feed the homeless, meet volunteers. The volunteers come out into places like where we have up front, where people can drop off clothes and food, and they come and pick it up every week. So
That's
I
amazing.
think you can go online and Venmo them money also.
Okay.
So that's Mutual Aid Monday.
Mutual
Yes.
Aid Monday. That's who
Okay.
that's who we work with. I'm a big fan of everything they do.
That's
Nice.
awesome.
Yeah.
And we've been involved with a lot of nonprofits that are
Yeah.
trying to help.
Right.
And whether they just they can't follow through, they don't follow through, or they fall through.
Right.
Mutual Aid Monday has been a successful organization that we've enjoyed working with.
Well, that's good.
For 5 years now.
And it is super tough to be dealing with what is going on now because
Yeah.
fentanyl has definitely taken things to a whole new level. So, and homelessness is, in record number, and the cost of living is just crazy.
It's
and-
nuts. There's so much pressure on everybody.
I know.
And the city of Denver doesn't make it any easier for anyone.
No, they don't.
So
So yeah, and it's because I know you had issues with dealing with from construction on South Broadway to ridiculous tax bills, and just it was
that has a
almost-
lot to do with it's tough to keep up with it. But when you see somebody that owes $500,000 on taxes and
Right.
they're still running around doing business and have the side of a bus with their logo and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and then they come after us for $30,000,
Right. It's ridiculous.
we did owe it.
And
I didn't pay it.
And we appreciate that the city helped us get back on track with that.
Yeah.
And it's just, and then the city threw the second strike at us with the giant construction.
Yep.
Okay.
And the big hole in front of our shop for 6 months.
Right, and
While
it's
they
just
were-
how are you supposed to contend with
Right.
that?
And that's what Colfax is going through now too. Just,
I know.
They're
I
just
feel
rolling up
awful for
Colfax,
those businesses.
decimating all those businesses,
Right.
and then when everything goes out of business, then that's when the
And they're just
Well, then
And I
the
can tell
corporates
you-
are going to
then
come in.
Baby
going
Gap
down
will
there
come
and
in.
buying one slice of pizza is not helping those businesses out down there. It's going down there every week and frequenting those businesses
Yeah.
on a regular basis.
Right.
Not just going down there once and be like, hey, I
Yeah, I
helped
did
them
my
out. I
part."
bought a piece of pizza.
Right.
Or I bought a tall boy. Or I went down and played some video games. I got it. Go down and help those businesses
Yeah.
out. Don't just focus on one business.
Right.
Because there's 3 to 5 businesses on that block that all need help. So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's gonna-
Honestly, there's so much background noise. It's great because you can hear the.
I feel like we're in the-
I love it.
Live
I love
place.
it.
We're in the bottom of a ship.
It is, yeah.
We're
That's,
down
that
deck.
was coming up with a name for down here.
below deck.
The lower decks.
Nice.
Yeah.
There you go.
Below deck.
So, and I was talking to Rev about
The
this
galley.
earlier. Like, you guys are doing shows down here, right?
Yeah, we're crushing
Nice.
Jim's
Yeah.
got tons of stuff booked.
Nice.
And lots of events going on, and that's
Okay.
always been a big part of our business.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
gets
I
people to
love
come
playing at
in and-
Mutiny. It was
yeah.
one of my favorite spots. Like, you
Hells
guys are
yeah.
awesome.
And you got to play in the front part, right?
We did.
In
Yeah.
the front window when
Right.
people would
Yeah.
walk by and see, what the
Yeah,
hell?
it was so cool.
Yeah,
So
those were
cool.
glory days.
Yeah. I was playing so loud, like I shattered one of your pastry dishes. So I'm sorry. I can.
That's awesome. We had a couple of noise complaints. I think the loudest things I've ever heard was there.
Yeah.
That Thou show, that was brutal.
Yeah.
And we,
Somebody
we had to
finally
go to court
complained
for
about
that.
it.
Or we
Okay.
had to go to mediation for that.
We had
Okay.
mediation, yeah.
But when we showed up, we were bros with the mediator, man.
Bada bing,
Nice.
bada boom. You know what I'm saying? Forget about it.
Forget about it. So, was that your first time doing mediation?
Oh no! At the Bluebird in Ogden, I did 5 and 6 years mediation.
Oh,
with
no
neighbors
shit.
over- A lot of the programs, the neighborhood agreements,
Okay.
like the neighborhood agreement that the Highland Park mommies were using back when we had the Oriental, they was based off the mediation that I
Okay.
came up with,
Gotcha.
dealing with whiny neighbors at the Bluebird in Ogden.
Yeah. So I think we've got the show loading in.
Cool.
So,
All right. So Englewood's been good though.
Yeah, man, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
beginning to now. I mean, we let them know that we were going to rent a spot.
Yeah.
And they did this. They were going to have this big sidewalk event going on, and they encouraged us to come out and meet people. And at that event, we got to meet members of the city council, members of the downtown revitalization
The
stuff.
mayor.
And then the mayor
Nice.
came
The
over
mayor
and talked
came
with
down
us.
here himself.
Yeah.
and I think that's important to
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
businesses. Like, I mean, to see that kind of support is awesome.
It's nuts. If there's grants available, they've let us know about grants.
Right.
The Downtown Development Board is really committed to local businesses.
Yeah.
Really committed to local businesses.
And there's parking. There's parking like everywhere.
Yeah, it's
you know,
crazy.
like-
Parking, just not stressing about it.
Yeah.
man.
They had bought the whole block worth of buildings on the other side behind the shops on the other side.
Okay.
Took out all those buildings and put parking in the back there.
That's awesome.
They're putting on the old Southampton that heads east. That's going to be a walking mall, like up till Swedish.
Okay.
So there'll be restaurants.
Oh yeah, I did see that.
Yeah,
I saw
plan,
that.
the
That's
plan
awesome.
for it's great. It's a ways out, but it's a really
Yeah.
cool one.
Yeah, that's a
And,
cool
the, and
plan.
the city really appreciates art. If you walk around the block, you can just see all these installations. They're really into
it's
it.
crazy. Like I just driving down here, like there's so many like shops I've never seen before. The Japanese restaurant, like, I mean, this is awesome.
Yeah, there's the Rods and Bods Museum if you want to go see a
Yeah.
Ghostbusters car and stuff.
Yeah, that's cool.
So all that and the Englewood downtown offices there. They do a Friday local vendor markets. They do concert series that's coming up this
Yeah.
summer. They'll be working with Swallow Hill on a concert here on the south side on Old Hampden by the Space Bank.
Okay.
So we're getting to work with Swallow Hill, which
That's
is awesome.
awesome.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
be bringing Mutiny Markets back to be in the parking lot of the Space Bank. So we'll be having those markets going on.
That's
down
really
there.
cool.
Yeah, so instead of having 4 or 5 or 6 vendors, we'll be able to have 20, maybe 25 vendors over there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it'll be a huge. Again, it's all local businesses. These are the smallest local businesses when you show up with a tent, and a
Yeah.
table.
And once again, that's getting out of your house,
Yeah.
getting out and doing something,
Yeah,
and being active
absolutely.
people, being part of your community instead
Yeah.
of letting the community run you.
Right.
So
No, that's a great point.
Create your own algorithm.
man, you're so hip.
You
That's
are
what the
hip.
kids would say.
So we're looking forward to it. I don't use the word optimistic very often, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty optimistic
Well,
about how
especially
things are
after
going.
being on South Broadway where we were, it was not optimistic, and the city was driving you down into
Right.
literally driving you out of town.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
they literally drove us out of town.
Yeah.
I mean, how many, was it 200 restaurants in the last 18 months have left Denver?
Yeah.
New restaurant permits are down 40%.
Right.
Lost over 10,000 jobs.
Yeah. It's awful.
And those jobs that are lost are people that exactly like all four of us in this room.
Right.
They're just regular people with regular jobs, servant jobs and things like that.
Right.
And then, I'm not going to get into the current stuff that they're pushing, but
Yeah.
I think that they've made a lot of mistakes because there's people that are pseudo businessmen. They're not real business people. You can say that you're a business owner, but when you inherited the business from your dad or your mom and you did nothing,
Right.
you maybe did your summer internship, working on the line, that doesn't count.
That doesn't count.
You're not a business person.
Right.
And when you have no empathy for businesses that are going away and all your only responses are, they should have changed their business plans.
And that's a direct quote from our last city council person in our district.
Oh my
That we
God,
should have
that's
changed our.
ridiculous.
We
You
should
can
have
see
changed
that
our
in
business
Westwood.
plan.
Yeah. So
Wow.
again, everything down here is great. It's been really fun. It's a tough road back, and we're getting a lot of new customers. And we're ready for spring.
Right.
So, what's your vision for Punk Scouts?
Oh, yeah,
that's a
well
great one.
that's a new one. Yeah, it's basically getting 18 and under kids free classes to learn all the silk screening, zine making, sewing.
Soundboard.
Soundboard.
Holy shit, that's awesome.
We have a new portable PA that's battery powered that would be perfect for say protest and or harassment.
Right.
So, but you have to take a class to be able to use that. It's battery powered. You can just lug it around. It's really cool. So
Well, that's great.
I've got 40 volunteers lined up right now to teach classes to kids about basic life skills. So street medical stuff, herbal medicine, gardening, lots of art, graffiti stuff, teaching kids how to handle a can right.
That's
Can
awesome.
control.
Yep. So that's just cooking. That's been the last 5 days. It's been an idea that's been brewing for a while.
Okay.
But COVID crushed it.
COVID crushed it.
But I just kind of fishing on Instagram the other day, and so many responses. It's really overwhelming. I'm
Wow.
a little overwhelmed.
That's awesome.
So I think we can build a huge, cool curriculum out of the whole deal.
I think, that would be amazing.
Girls Rock Denver wants to collab on it. Birdie Magazine is already designing a Punk Scout button or patch or
Oh
something.
my God, that's
Nice.
awesome.
Fantastic.
That's really cool.
So
when
we'll
do
see
you-
how that fleshes out.
Okay. When do you think you're gonna kind of
March 30th is going to be the first meeting here, but hopefully I'll have a volunteers meeting before then so we can all get in the same room or at least on the same Skype channel or whatever and talk about how to do this and how to move forward. I think it's a little more different than booking a show.
Yeah.
Well,
I think
you've got
you know-
young people's minds that you're dealing
Right.
with.
So,
and that
so,
you're affecting
so
and stuff.
Right.
You don't wanna-
everybody involved needs to be vetted.
Yeah. For sure. For sure.
Well,
You know,
and, yeah.
not just like some weird name guy that
Yeah.
doesn't have his real name on.
Right.
That says I enjoy teaching stuff. So
Yeah.
we're make sure that it's the whole point of this spot. Again, versus downtown, we were trying to do the same thing. An all ages, drug and alcohol free, safe spot. And Matt and I are notoriously aggressively enforce a safe spot. So doing it down there, the way the neighborhood has slid so much, trying to attract young people to come down there to go see free shows and get all those things to almost the worst neighborhood to actually ask kids to come down too. Right. And it was it weighs heavy when we have young people working behind the counter. It weighs heavy when you're attracting young people to come down there to do things.
Sure.
And then you're hauling somebody out of the bathroom because they overdosed on fentanyl.
Right.
So down here, it's we can do what we've always really wanted to do, and starting with that blank slate and knowing how we know how to do shows. We have sound equipment. We know how to do this.
Yeah.
We know how to do coffee. We have an espresso machine.
Right.
We know how to do all these things and to be able to start from ground zero up. So building the book collection, building the comic collection, and the community space is a big part of it for me. I mean, I like doing live entertainment is the greatest thing in the whole world.
Yeah.
So it's a real opportunity to start clean and have a space that's the one that we really just kind of dreamed about, and build it. So we brought a lot of the relics from the old shop.
You did.
But
You still have like the
there's a lot of stuff.
That
You look
book sign
around.
over
Yeah, the
there,
book
that's
sign's
a
over
big
there.
part of
Oh,
it.
that's awesome.
Yeah. So and then room to grow. There's still room on the wall to stick
Right.
things. We got a lot of room to do some more pieces down here in the basement.
Yeah.
And then getting to work with the city, doing all these other fun things. They got lots of great events, so there's a lot to stay busy with down
And
here.
it's so crazy, like when can work together, like to do awesome
Yeah, man.
things.
When we work together, man.
It's
Together.
It's crazy.
So that's a big part of the new Captain America movie.
Oh, it is okay.
They're working together.
It's a synergy. How is the new?
It's fun.
Okay.
All I've heard is it's fun.
It's like the beginning of it's fun. I enjoyed it, but I'm not gonna. I went to the IMAX, so I spent way too much money on it.
Okay.
And stuff. So.
Gotcha.
Was it 3D?
No, I can't see in 3D.
Was it 3B? 3 beers is looking all right.
Well, it was. We had a half a pitcher of margaritas.
Yeah.
That's between me and you.
So when you guys were kind of like, growing up in Denver, did you kind of frequent some of the, other coffee shops like Muddy's and
Yeah, Buddy's is a huge inspiration.
St. Mark's
I only went
at
there
all,
4 or
or-
5 times. St.
Okay.
Mark's was a big one.
Yeah.
Muddy's was on the way out as I was on my
Yeah,
way in.
yeah.
Okay.
But I remember St. Mark's, and I remember St. Mark's was on Market
Like,
Street.
it was on Market, yeah.
Yeah, that was cool.
And that's
It
where
was
a lot
cool.
of
They would
scooter
stay
kids
open,
used to
like,
hang
really.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's eventually how I got into the scooter community.
Okay.
Is I met Reedy and McCoolidge and some other Phil Lombardo. I got in touch with them, and then I met them again through the Hooligan Pinball Tournament.
Nice.
The Highball 500
Right,
at
yeah.
Lions Lair.
Okay.
And so I probably didn't frequent coffee shops nearly as much as I frequented
Okay.
bars. But I was reading a lot of Bukowski then,
Yeah.
so that was really cool to me.
Right. So, and do you still participate in a lot of the scooter stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't ride like I used
Okay.
to, but I still go to the events. I'm still a person that, and Mutiny still supports the events
Right.
with bring coffee to the
Yeah.
ride beginnings and
Nice.
stuff. I'm going to
Oh.
donate to his.
I know. I mean, he
political
needs
fund.
more. Like,
Yeah.
if it's not subsidies, he needs more. So, well, so what's the show that's going on today?
Today is a sip and stroke. It's like there's some groovy, weird jazz kind of bands playing, and then you can come and you can buy a small canvas for like $10 and a big canvas for $20, and there's stuff to paint with and
Okay.
people to talk to.
Nice. And you guys are still going to be doing like art shows too, right?
Yeah, for sure. We got a great graffiti show coming up at Selecta Rockwell.
Nice. When's that?
That is April something, I think.
Okay.
That one, Sean's got a pretty sweet one. It's all graffiti dudes, and it's all superhero one. It's a one night only.
Oh, nice.
So there'll be like limited edition prints and all that
Okay.
shit. It's gonna be a big deal.
That's awesome. So, and like now you guys are in this new spot. Like it just seems like a lot. There's so much that is much more positive. Like you said,
Yeah, without a
like you've got a pretty positive outlook on things, and even with like the state of affairs, like the country is in, and even just the world.
This is
in
our
general,
time to
like-
shine, brother.
I know. This is like, I think
This
this
is
is like
the-
your moment.
As Henry Rollins said, this is the moment that Joe Strummer prepared us for.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
And so we look on it as an opportunity for us to do our job,
Okay.
which is to give people an opportunity to express themselves,
Right.
to meet with other people that think like they do,
Yeah.
and grow confidence in our community and build upon that.
That's awesome.
This is our time to shine.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. It's more important, now than it's ever been. So
Yeah, people talk about communities like the hip hop community
Yeah.
or the punk rock community. Punk rock is more than just music and yelling into a microphone.
It is.
Punk rock is the zine culture. Punk rock is graffiti culture.
Right.
Punk rock is doing artwork to inspire people to want to get up and do something.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
And it's protests.
It
You know?
is.
And if we
And fighting for what's right.
I mean, I'm too damn old to protest, but I can facilitate a drive to get water bottles out to the protesters, so that
Yeah.
way they can keep up on the
Or
front
you can
lines.
host a concert
Sure.
like that supports that protest.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
So like, there's so many aspects, and it is, and it's going to be more important, like over these next 4 years, as like they continue to try to silence
Yeah.
these voices.
Oh, yeah.
And and just I don't even know what else to say.
Well,
But I think it's awesome that you guys are here, and I'm glad you found this spot.
Yeah.
You know, I was a firm like supporter of you guys like downtown, but as things like kind of were getting like a little bit crazier, I wasn't going down as much. But I felt awful about that, you know. But like, I'm glad you kind of made it out. And have this opportunity now, and you have like a city that supports you.
It was so we're very stubborn guys, Jim and I, and
Yeah.
it took what it took to get us out of that
Okay.
area, to get us out to a
Right.
place where we could do better and we could continue on with our work.
Yeah.
There was no way I was just going to give that place up.
I know.
We
And
got- we
what's
got-
unfortunate is like it was such a great part of town,
Yeah.
and like,
Yeah.
and you have the high dive across the street.
Yeah, High Dive
it was
was
set
nice.
south beforehand, and like, I mean, and there was so much there. Like, you know, I remember my sister going down to that area of town when I was a kid, and like hitting up like Rudely Decadent, and like
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, going down to like Marion Lou's before it was the Hornet,
Yeah.
and just like. You know, it was a whole other world, and like, and then I lived down there, like on 8th and Bayard, or no,
You know, Jack
like
Jensen
Bayard
had
and
Mutiny
Sherman.
Now before us for 8 years.
Yeah.
And before that, it was Ichabod's Books and Mrs. Crane's Coffee
Right.
for 11 years.
Yeah.
And
yeah. Fuck yeah.
before that, it was Bill Good's Better Book Buyer. That place was a
Right.
bookstore for
Right.
35 years.
Yeah,
You know, it's easy to drive a business out
it is.
and just demolish that space and put something brand new to
Right.
wipe away the memory of that place.
Well, and that's really unfortunate. You know, I mean, that's happened all across the world.
Yeah.
We're watching it like happen to Denver.
Yeah.
I don't want to see anything happen to the Mercury Cafe. I'm worried about that one. I don't want to see anything happen to the businesses on East Colfax. But I just don't understand like Denver's methods of not really supporting the stuff that makes it so unique.
Sure.
You know?
And what's frustrating to me about it is supposedly these are left-leaning city council people.
I know. It's like, what the fuck?
And it seems like these left-leaners are pushing out the baby with the bathwater.
I think you're 100% right.
I don't expect right-wingers to come in there and do any better or
Right.
do anything
Right.
do anything that's not, you know, being backed by developers.
Right.
That's
So
what
Englewood is, and you can go to the Englewood City Council meetings, and I've done so, and they're receptive. You can go and
Yeah.
get your 3 minutes,
Sure.
let them look them in the eye, and
Yeah.
my local council person is.
There's better
Good.
people to talk at those events than me.
Yeah.
No,
you know-
if you went in and said, "Hey, I'm new, I'm doing business, and I like this. Please keep it up." They'll appreciate it.
Okay.
And we
Yeah.
need to. Yeah, we really need to. We're at a point now where we do have in Englewood a really good mayor and city council, and that flips and flops. So there was Olga. Oh, I forgot her name. She was an artist, sculptor, lived on Lincoln Street, just blocks from here. Amazing artist, and got the Museum of Outdoor Arts to move into Englewood. And it was great for the city. We had access to free art. They were moving all the art in. And there was one city council person that just made everything terrible for the Museum of Outdoor Arts. Anytime they wanted to do an event or something. So eventually they was like, yeah, you know what? We've got an offer to move back to a greener village, so we're going to do it. And they're paving the way for us, or giving us grant, making everything great for us.
Yeah.
So that's where Museum of Outdoor Arts was. But for a while, Englewood had this incredible museum that you could go in for free and see these wonderful mind-expanding things.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's. I encourage everybody to contact your local council person, your local representative, and even if your senator. write them and write it on a big postcard so that everybody that reads it. So it goes in, and it's not just if it gets to their desk or not. It's that their aide reads it.
Right.
That their the person that delivers them says, "Well, this is some interesting artwork." Right. So yeah,
That's a great thing. Yeah, don't listen to me. Go down and do it yourself.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy because like when I lived down here, like I went down to city council to fight for like just an off leash park, and I would say they are pretty receptive to just listening to the community and those kind of things.
Well,
So
they were really excited to meet Jim and I when
That's
we
awesome.
met at
That's really
Demont
cool.
for the
That is.
city
I'm really glad.
this block event.
Yeah, I think that's awesome because,
Yeah.
like, you know, supporting places like this, it makes the city like super cool. You know, it's and when we were growing up, like Denver was extremely conservative, and like all this shit was still going on, right?
Yeah.
Like the shows,
Yeah.
the zines. You know, all these cool places to hang out, and so I'm glad you guys like found this spot.
Yeah,
And,
we're lucky.
You know, I wish you guys both the very best of like, you know, the future and you know, fighting this fascist nation that we're turning into. So, but thank you for like taking the time to talk to us. Is there
You're
anything
welcome.
else like you guys want to talk about?
We've talked about a lot of stuff today.
We have,
We could
We can
probably
always
talk
talk
for another
more
hour.
later. Yeah.
right?
We should do it at night when there's no one around.
Yeah. When
I
the
don't know.
upper decks
I'm
are a
gonna
little
keep like a lot of
quieter.
the creaking in this podcast because I think
We should get like
You know,
some wave
Just
sounds.
just
to put
say
in
that we're on a boat.
I could get like
yeah.
seagulls kind of.
Yep.
definitely.
So, all right. Well, thank you guys again.
Thank you. Thank you guys. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. We got some donuts from We Need Donuts.
I had the chocolate glazed
yeah.
and
Did you have the
the
maple?
it's
The
lavender.
lavender? Oh, nice.
I don't know if that was the flavor, but
Okay.
that's the color.
Nice. There you go.
It was really good.
Nice. So, how do you like just some of your neighbors and stuff?
I love them all. I can't
Nice.
tell you how much I love it down here. I mean,
That's
we
awesome.
can't tell you how much we love. Rico's Pizza's right across the street.
Oh, I love Rico's.
Right next
My
to that
favorite
is
fucking
the
pizza.
Army Surplus store where I've been buying all my clothes for the last 30 years.
Okay.
New tattoo shop just opened up catty corner from here.
Yeah.
The restaurant next door, fellow traveler. I'm not a gourmand, but it's not only the best vegetarian restaurant I've ever eaten
Well,
at.
they're
It's
vegan,
one of the
yeah, vegan.
vegan. It's one of the top 5 restaurants I've ever eaten.
Oh, nice.
I think they were
It's that
number one
good.
in Westwood's best vegan restaurant
Okay.
last year.
Okay.
And they're number 1 in our hearts.
We got
That's
Brewability up the street where they
Yeah,
do a lot of
Brewability is
activity with
amazing.
disabled folks.
Right.
Yep.
And
Cafe 180 that
Cafe
does
180.
pay as you go, and that's another great program. So there's a lot
Right.
of people with the same mindset that we have down here.
Yeah.
What else?
there's a great bookstore up the street here, and they are a lot like the old Mutiny, and they probably
Nice.
have books in there from 30 years ago.
They're a really cute old couple.
Yeah,
They're
and
awesome.
they're doing a good job.
Good.
And, they're a used bookstore,
Oh,
so it's a
and,
great
uh,
Oh
place to
yeah,
go.
no, that is a great place.
It's a great place to go get your Harry Potter books
Like right
and
off of,
your
like, kind of Floyd.
Good Omens
Yeah.
and stuff like that. That's the
Yeah.
place to go for that
That's
kind
awesome.
of stuff.
Garibaldi's, the Mexican restaurant that's inside the Conoco gas station
Okay.
across from the Gothic, is
Nice.
incredible.
Awesome.
I highly recommend it. $7 breakfast burritos, as big as a small person's arm.
Is that how you order it?
Give me that baby arm burrito.
Get it in my belly.
But I'm in love. That place is the shit. And like food in a gas station, you think like, what, Jim?
Yeah.
No.
And these are
But
just
it's not
places
like
off
that.
of on Broadway.
This is within. I can't
There's
walk
some other
very
stuff.
far.
I mean, like Jim brought up Rods and Bods earlier,
Yeah.
and
Right.
we did some stuff with them when we were up the street.
Okay.
He's got a great Batmobile. He's got several.
He's got
Batmobiles.
Yeah.
the whole museum,
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
rods and bods.
And they're
Rods and
they're
Bods.
not gonna be there for a long time, so get over there now
Okay.
before they have to move, and
All right.
maybe
Oh, there's a
close up
new
shop,
kids'
so-
place opening up right across the alley from us, Lava Island.
Oh,
Which,
that's
if you
awesome.
have kids that are under 10 years old, this is going to be the place to go.
And
Oh,
if you
yeah.
were ever a kid and grew up with lava in your house, this is the place to
Yeah,
go.
do they have a?
It's like Flora's lava.
Yeah, do they have an
Flora's
inebriated
lava.
adults night though? The inebriated adults need time to come and hurt themselves.
They typically ruin everything.
Yeah, they do. That's why I like coffee. Coffee is
Yeah.
inspiring, you know.
Yeah.
And Matt and I have used the thing 1,000 times that you know, you may have talked about it the night before at the bar, but revolutions are born in coffee shops. Coffee inspires that enthusiasm and that excitement and sparks something inside. And when you surround yourself with books and you surround yourself with the records and music, there's nothing but pure inspiration that comes from a coffee shop. And I think that's that basic tenet is where we've kind of built around that idea, I guess.
Yeah.
You know? So,
You forget a lot of things when you drink.
yeah.
You do.
And you know, I love to drink, but I've lost so many fantastic ideas
Right.
to the bottom of a bottle.
Totally.
That's true.
What was I thinking about?
Right,
true.
exactly. And I regret them.
Yep.
I regret all those events that I've came up with that
Right.
I've lost.
Yeah.
So
There's only so many ideas in the fish. I'm listening to a great lecture with David Lynch talking about his creative process. That, you know, if you don't write down your ideas or work out them sober, they just disappear. You know, they don't come back. There's only so many ideas in the
Right,
idea pool. You know,
It's true.
and like King Lizard and the Gizzard, that band.
Yeah.
Lizard Gizzard.
Yeah,
Lizard Gizzard.
them and Karangabin are both amazing bands, but they put out like a new album every 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So they're stealing all the ideas from the idea pool. So if you're not getting out there and making your own zine
Yeah,
or
don't
record,
wait.
Shit.
Put something out
Karangabin
now.
or
Yeah.
Gizzard, those Gizzard guys are going to take your idea out of that idea pool.
If you are scared of Musk now,
Yeah, dude.
he will frighten you in 3 or 4 weeks
Yeah.
to where you can't get that thing out that you wanted to do.
Yep.
And do it on paper.
Right.
Yeah.
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 Do it on
Make it
paper.
real.
Yeah.
Do it sober,
Make it tangible.
drink coffee.
What we do is we write in
Get it out
cursive
there.
because that's secret
The
language.
pen is mightier than the sword.
Right.
You're here.
It is. It is.
All right.
And just
Is that it?
where is the new location?
3483 South Broadway
Awesome.
Of
in
this.
Englewood.
It's like, what are you talking about?
Of where we're at right now.
Man, you should have let off with that one. You should cut that one and put that at big. Hey, where are we? I'm about to go 3483 South Broadway.
Do you want me to do that?
You may have heard me
where
on.
are we?
Oh, you may have heard me on CPR News. Money
Yeah.
well spent.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks
Well,
for having us, everybody.
Yep.
We
absolutely.
love doing these. We used to have a podcast place at the other shop. I've been doing podcasts since probably 2008. With
Matt invented the word podcast in like late 2007.
Yeah, I
Nice.
was,
Good
But
work.
then,
yeah.
yeah.
So,
I've won awards for the best podcast in Denver.
Yeah.
So
best mime.
best mime, best podcast.
What else,
and,
Matt? What else?
I do a really mean chili.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that the chili?
No,
you
no.
made?
Yes, I
I
had
think we should
different
have a
chili
contest
yesterday.
to see who has the best chili.
Oh, of course.
And
So-
a blind contest for
Yeah.
blind people.
We could come back in the summer and do a chili contest.
Yeah. We got stuff
Should we do
cooking.
that?
We want to do a block party with graffiti stuff all up and down the street.
Okay.
Best mac and cheese.
Oh my
man,
God!
that'd be
Yeah.
Yeah. We used to do that at the other place. We did best pickles.
Pickled eggs.
Ooh,
Pickled eggs.
I would love to go to pickle night.
I love pickled eggs.
Okay.
All right, we got to get ready for the
all right,
next thing.
I got
man.
you. Well, thank you guys very much.
Yeah, you're
And,
welcome. Nice talking to you. We'll do it again.
Yeah.
There's more to talk about. I think we didn't get past the first page.
Well, I kind
Did
of
we?
did questions from each page.
Oh, nice.
But
Me too.
We'll cross off the ones and we'll come back
that's
to
right.
them later.
Yeah.
And then I can come back later. So.
I was a young man growing up in Montana, and we
Turn your back and then drive